Hello, hello. How's everybody doing? I hope there's somebody out there. So let me know if you're out there. I'd appreciate it. As we started last week, I want to keep going with that. But I watched the thing and found out I wasn't sharing the sound very well. So we're going to start and maybe we can go through that again. So let's share our screen. Entire screen. That one. Also share system audio. There. Be careful sharing screen audio if you have a guest. Ah, that's cool. All right. So now you should. That's wonderful. That's right in the way. There we go. So let's see. So that's where we ended it last week. But I think for this video, we're gonna jump in and we're gonna start all over again because the idea was that we'd start from the beginning, and while we did start from the beginning, I realized there was no sound, and I apologize. So what we're gonna do is we'll start from scratch. We got a couple bars here, and oftentimes what we'll hear, we talked about last week, and I'm just going to continue to talk, even though I think we talked about it all last week. But each bar has 4 counts, so it's over 4/4. Each bar is 4 beats. Each beat is a quarter note. So we start out by just doing that, right? Whoops. I don't want to give you that because that's for later. So there's our beat, right? It's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. All right. And so what we'll do now is in most the Western world, we add a snare there, and we usually on the off beat of the bass. And we could keep them together, but for sakes of recording, we generally don't want to put it over the top unless there's a reason for it, right? We can always put it there, but we don't want it to take away from each other. So then we just focus on the one. So a little recording there versus real world stuff. Okay, so then we could kind of liven this up a little bit just by adding a beat in there, And that's one we all know from the 70s, right? And then we could come across and we could put in our hi-hat. And this isn't working like it should. There we go. All right, so now we're going to put our hi-hat in, always a closed hi-hat, which it is not. How about that, huh? Ooh, we can even do a little fun with that. That's kind of cool, huh? And then we can go back and we can add, if we wanted it a little different. By the way, this down here is how hard that's going to get hit. All right. So the higher the color, the deeper the red, the harder the hit. So we can come back in and put in an underlier, right? And then we have to be aware that that ring is going to fall short. So we have to keep it open for as long as we want it open. That's kind of a fun one. So it's got some flow to it, right? A little bit of flow. But it's also got some a little crazy in there. So what we did here, we'll just copy it over and we'll make it a little longer. Now we can add two of these together, right? And we generally will start with um what is it? Do we do an 8 4? Sometimes we'll explain this to you later, but it's how many sentences or how many sentences. We'll just go with that. I would say verses, but verses encompasses everything. So each line, whatever the hell that's called. So there you go. Then when we get to the end of the second one, that's where we're going to put in a transitory fill, right? Doom, 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 doom. Doom, 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 doom. Boom, 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 boom. Bum, bum, bum. Yeah, what do you think of that? That's a pretty good place, huh? It's kind of a slow groove. It's not bad. What are we at? Oh, we're at 80. But it's kind of funky. It's nice. Now, here's the part that's probably going to drive you totally insane. And that's the fact that you just kind of got to keep listening to it until you hear something. Or, you just start playing around and see what comes out. And depending on how I want to start, I could start with pianos. Pianos would just make it sound a little different. Um, I'm not a good piano player, so I tend to be very simplistic when I do my stuff. Um, I'm a good hack. That's kind of the way I describe it. But I would not be comfortable really playing anywhere. But I can play my stuff. So I can fix my stuff. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. So I didn't this is all fun stuff that last week I didn't get to share with you because I didn't realize you couldn't hear. So this time I look forward to making sure that you can hear because I think it'll be, a whole lot better. But you can hear where the bass, anytime you have a bass drum hit, you want to make sure you don't have to. It kind of depends upon the type of music that you're doing, but in our basic rock, you always have a bass guitar on every bass drum hit. That's supposed to drive things home. So that's another thing that I do. I just you just start playing, right? Because I got so many different things I can fart around with. And so now I just start messing around. So what we might want to do maybe somewhere down the road, if I ever have anybody actually on these things, we could have you come up with the melody, and we could actually write a little tune, right? That's kind of our little jazz. See, everything I do is very simple. So the way I write is I'll write usually two types that are very similar. So we're gonna lock this in. So I hit my little record button here, and I get ready to go, right? And I just missed it. That's okay. It'll come back around, eh? Gee, So the way this works is, you'll see how it looks pretty interesting right here. But it'll record over the top of itself, and I caught both versions, so one that goes up and one that goes down. I have to decide which one we want to use first, and all that. Oh, look at there! I actually recorded piano. Really, really not necessary, but because it wouldn't sound good. Actually, interesting. Oh, it's maybe not that we're going to make it real prominent, but that sound sample that we're using lacks that solid front end that maybe we can get with a piano. And if you're not sure what I mean by that, things just don't fall into place sometimes. It's like happy accidents. This is my happy accidents. Every time I screw up, it's like, ooh, it's like when old Bob Ross, the painter, would put in a little red into his paint. He'd be like, ooh, ooh, I like that. Ooh, I like that. So that's kind of how I look at making mistakes too. Fun. I like that. I don't know why. I'm just a weird guy. I just like shakers. It's so weird, I guess, but whatever. It's my world, right, Bob? As long as we're talking about Bob the painter. I grew up on Bob. I love Bob. Barbaros. Barbaros. My Saturday afternoon at 1 o'clock. My Barbaros. Well, there you go. So we've gone over the 15 minutes. So as we close out the day, and we'll just keep doing this. So next time we'll come in here, I'll be like, why did I do that? Um, but that's part of the fun. Eh. So I hope somewhere down the road, sometime down the road, somebody will come in. I don't know. We'll chat, all that good stuff. I kind of like this. There's something about it. We can make it a little. Mhm. Depending on what we want to do there, we can put real horns, not real horns, but more realistic horn sounds as opposed to synth horn sounds. And you say, how would you do that? And be like, I don't really know. Man, see, here's another thing. It's something else that you wouldn't have thought of, but it's a relatively I won't say relatively new. It's new industry wide. So for the longest time, um, my son and I were using uh, plugins, which are like delays and reverb, uh, and much, much more than that. But that's at least what I'm trying to explain. So I was buying all the renting, whatever you want to call it, those through a company called Stephen Slate, and they're good. They're great. Absolutely been wonderful. And as I was going through them to deactivate them, I realized what I was giving up, and I don't know if it's worth it. They got some really amazing things that I just simply love. My intent here is to take a month or so to see if I can't find a replacement for each one of those. I mean, Lord knows I have so many, and I also have a subscription to Universal Audio. That's new. I just got that this summer, which it's just a new, they just started that program, but it seems like the industry's moving towards that. And right now, my preferred plugins are Universal Audio. So, um, but I lost some sounds and other things when I decided to give up Stephen Slay, which is, there's some good stuff there. So I have nothing bad to say about Stephen Slate. There's some things I'm giving up that I'm really sad about. Okay. All right, so that's our song, and just so you can hear it one more time. I hope you come back next week, and I'll be here on Monday at 6 o'clock Central Time, Chicago time. All right, everyone, come see me next week, will you? Till then, thanks for listening.